Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Jennifer Lee Disney, and I'm honored to be in the home of Miss Jean Orr Belcher, the 2006 winner of the South Carolina Mother of the Year Award. Thank you so much for having us today.
Delighted to have you.
Why don't we start by you just telling us when and where you were born and raised?
I was born in Spartanburg General Hospital, but I was reared in Inman, which is about 12 miles from Spartanburg, Inman, South Carolina, where my father was a pharmacist.
Oh, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your family and your early childhood experiences.
My mother was a graduate nurse. She graduated from Spartanburg General Hospital School of Nursing, and she went to Inman, which is 12 miles above Spartanburg, to work for a doctor's in a doctor's office, and that doctor's office happened to be over my dad's drugstore. And so they were married after about 2 years courtship, I think. And
That's great.
so that's how that happened.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I'm the oldest, and I have a sister who is 3 years and 9 months younger. And that's all.
Okay,
No
so two of you.
brothers.
2 girls, 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Is there anything you want to share about your early childhood experience growing up in Inman?
Well, I grew up just going to Sunday school and church every Sunday, and just normally. But when I became old enough, I began to work in my dad's drugstore, just a little at a time.
Right.
Until it wasn't a regular thing. Of course, I went to school and all of that, but for most of my life, I worked in the store. Particularly if you had a sale or anything, he always needed me, and I worked behind the soda fountain. I did just about anything in there, but I did not fill prescriptions. That was left to him. But and then he had an assistant, pharmacist in there with him. But I grew up doing that.
Wow.
And then I never, it was just a family thing. But when I graduated from high school and left and went to Furman University.
Great school. When you think back to your experiences at Furman and your young adult life, what were your goals, dreams, and aspirations at that time?
Well, I wanted to teach. I taught first grade for a long time. And even after we married, I taught first grade, both in Barnwell, and then I taught also in Walterboro, where we moved after we left Barnwell.
So tell us about how you met your husband.
Well, when I was a senior in high school, he transferred to our school from another because his mother, who was a teacher, moved there, so her children came with her. And he was a year younger than I, and he was a junior, I was a senior. And that's how I met him. And when I graduated, I went on to Furman, but we continued to keep contact.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, North Greenville was not a senior college as it is now.
Okay.
It was junior college, and he went there. I was at Furman. But we had a friend who was the librarian at North Greenville who would come down and get me and take me there to spend the weekend. So I'd spend the weekend with some girls. And it was not long distance to telephone between North Greenville and Furman, so we stayed in contact. And he would come down, and so after I graduated from Furman, I taught for 1 year in Greenville. And you know, this is odd to say, but my first year of teaching was my best.
That's beautiful. Tell us why.
That the students were well behaved. They wanted to learn. It was just a delightful experience. I've thought of that so many times. So many times your first year is your most difficult.
That's right.
But this one was just a very, just a real pleasure.
That's wonderful.
Anyway, we were married after that first year. And then we went to we moved because he was going to be a minister. And we went to we moved to Durham, North Carolina, but the seminary was just 18 miles away in Wake Forest. And he drove part of the time and somebody else drove part of the time. You know, he had friends that they just sort of switched off it, that sort of thing. But all I had to do to get to school was cross the highway.
Oh, that's easy.
That was very easy. We found an apartment that was close to the school, so I had no problem.
That's great.
So I taught there 3 years.
You taught there how many years?
3.
3 years.
Well, until he finished.
Seminary.
Yes.
Now, did you stay in that area, or did you move again?
No, we moved. During the time we were in the seminary, he had a seminary church in the lower part of, really the lower part of North Carolina. We went every other weekend, and we maintained friendship with those people through the years. But that was just until he finished seminary, and then he accepted the call to the First Baptist Church of Barnwell, South Carolina.
How long did you live in Barnwell?
19 years.
Long time.
Long time.
Our governor's from Barnwell, right? Nikki Haley?
Well, she may be.
Governor Haley?
I didn't
They
realize.
said she was from Warrenford.
I gotta check that. Barnwell. There's something prominent about Barnwell.
Yes, well, the name Solomon Blott mean anything to you?
I think it does.
He was one of, and Edgar Brown.
Yeah.
They were two of the most powerful men in South Carolina has ever had in their government.
That's what I learned. Okay, the
Mr. Blott
political.
was Speaker of the House.
Many people call Barnwell the political capital
Yes,
of the
that's
state.
exactly right.
Okay.
And we were there during the time that they were very prominent. And Mr. Blott and my husband were the closest of friends. Ms. Blott was a lovely, lovely person. And although they were Jewish, it was amazing that they invited the ministers of the town to their home once a year for a meal.
And what position did you say Mr. Block held? Was he the Speaker
He
of the
was
House?
the Speaker of the House of Representatives for
Wow.
years and years and years.
Wow.
And his son, Saul Jr., lived there as well and worked in that law firm with him for a while. And I'm not sure how far Saul Jr. became a judge.
Wow.
And I am not positive. The last I heard, he was in very, very poor health, and he's bound to be way, way up in years by now. And I'm not sure that he's still living. But the Block family meant a great deal to us.
Wow.
And Mr. Brown and Mr. Blott lived not too far apart. They sometimes didn't see the eye to eye, but they worked together, to make things smooth.
That's wonderful. So tell us about what kinds of activities you were involved in. You can talk about before and after you were married, during especially your 19 years in Barnwell, in terms of family, church, working outside the home, community, any activities you were involved in that you'd like us to know about.
Well, most of my activities after we were married involved the church, because I was at most any meeting that was held, and I was the church pianist, and of course that meant choir rehearsals, and I also worked with the smaller children in Sunday school.
So tell us about the birth of your... Tell us about the 4-year-olds you worked with.
4-year-olds.
Okay. Tell us about the birth of your children.
Yes, the first child was born in Bormel. That's not right, no. The first child was born in Mobile, Alabama. I did tell you that we went to Mobile, did I not?
I don't know if you mentioned Mobile.
Did I not mention Mobile? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Tell us when you went to Mobile.
After my husband graduated from seminary, he had a 2-year internship at a large 4,000-member church in Mobile, Alabama.
Wow.
Dolphin Way Baptist Church.
Wow.
The pastor there was Dr. Harold Seaver, and he came to the seminary and interviewed students for an assistant. He kept 1 or 2 assistants all the time and trained them in how to preside, how to baptize properly, how to do things, and he did it in a dignified way, which we appreciated.
That's great.
And he was a wonderful help. And so we stayed there 2 years, and our oldest son was born there. And I've often thought how fortunate we were that we were there when he was born. He was a footling breech, and we did not realize it until time for his birth. And had I not had that specialist, I don't know if we'd have him. It was a difficult, long, about a 22-hour labor.
Wow.
But he was healthy as he could be, and has prospered and grown just fine. And I got along well. It was a difficult birth, but I got along fine. So I just had a wonderful doctor, and I've often thought that it was just a blessing that I was there.
Wow.
I didn't have any trouble though with the others, but that first one.
That's great.
Yes.
So you have 2 boys, 2 sons and 2 daughters, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so
The other 3 were born in Barnwell.
okay.
I forgot to tell you about that interlude there.
That's okay. That's interesting to know about. And certainly helpful with the hospital, with the specialist that you had access to.
Oh yes, he was wonderful. He always said David had a little dimple right here. He said yes, and the doctor did too. He said, I see, he's got my dimple.
That's great. So why don't you tell us about each of your 4 children and anything you want to share about them, either from the birthing experience, growing up, or kind of what they do today. We'd love to know about that.
Well, the oldest one is the chancellor, and I think I told you, at Western Carolina at this point. And then he has a graduate degree from Eastman School of Music and Piano. And he still uses that. He came here and did a concert once, and he does not allow that talent to go away. He keeps up practice. He has a very good piano of his own. And his wife is a wonder. She has a marvelous voice, and so they can do joint concerts.
That's
you
great.
see, and they can use them occasionally as fundraisers.
That's
They
wonderful.
try not to push themselves, but they do that occasionally.
That's wonderful.
The second son was the president of the Mary Black Foundation in Spartanburg for at least close to 20 years,
Oh, wow.
because I know all of his children went to school in Spartanburg and graduated there. Now he is working as vice president of a foundation in Asheville, and I don't know the name of it. All I know is it's located right across from the Biltmore estate,
Wow.
but I do not know the name of it.
It's okay.
His wife is a minister, and she worked for a long time with hospice after they moved, but her territory took her clear from Asheville to Spartanburg,
Wow.
and so she kept it for a number of years, but she's not working right at this moment. I don't know what she plans to do
Okay.
after that. The third one is a daughter who is here, who graduated also from Furman in voice performance.
Wow. You have a very talented family.
She was the director of music at Northwestern High School for many years. They did marvelous productions. Her husband is also a graduate of Furman. Has a beautiful voice. He's a music graduate in voice, and he can build most anything. So her sets for her productions,
Wow.
But one morning she got up and found a note on her kitchen table from the older daughter, her older daughter. It said, "Mama, do you think you'd have time to talk to me today?" She gave up that music immediately because it was taking her time away from her children.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so she is the test coordinator now for Northwestern High School here.
Wow.
Doesn't take as much time away from her home as as the other did.
Wow, that's an important story.
And yeah, our fourth child is a daughter, and she started off working with the Computer Sciences Corporation of America, worked for a long time, out of her home, although the headquarters for this was I don't know, New York or Washington, I don't remember. Anyway, she did it online, and it worked fine until the financial crunch came again, and she had to get a new job. They discontinued the online part, so she couldn't do that any longer, and so she works now for a company in Huntersville, just above Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I think it's a tire company. I'm not positive it's the name of it, but she's still a computer worker.
Wow.
She can make a computer go.
That's,
She knows all about it. If I have something wrong with mine, she can fix it.
you have very talented children and diverse ways they express their talent.
They're diverse, all right.
You must be very proud.
Well, we are very pleased with it. Yeah, they've done well.
And
And she married a man from, all of these are Furman graduates, her husband as well. She married, except the second son's wife, well, neither boy married a girl from Furman, but the girls married Furman boys. The second daughter's husband repairs musical instruments.
Wow.
Band schools send their instruments to this company,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows enough about them to fix them.
Wow.
He repairs them.
That's great.
Yeah, he's had that job a long time.
And so do you have grandchildren as well?
Yes, the older the older son didn't. He and his wife were older when they married, so they don't have children. The second one has two. The older grandson is getting a PhD from Eastman School of Music.
Wow.
In theory, music theory.
Wow, that's great.
He is. Well, I got real amused at him one time. He was playing for church, and I particularly wanted to hear him. And he was sitting. I sat just so I could see him. Well, all of a sudden I saw music. The backs of the music went up, and I couldn't see his face. So I said to him afterwards, I said, "Owen, why did you put all that music up there?" He said, "So I couldn't see you looking at me."
That's good.
And I can appreciate that.
So you were making him nervous.
And the second, this is the second son's daughter, as a Furman graduate, and she has just moved to, where is it? It's North Carolina, and it's not, okay, it's not Winston-Salem. I can't remember. Anyway, she's going to be a veterinarian.
Oh,
She has already moved.
that's great.
It's the University of North Carolina School of Veterinary Medicine. I think that's the technical name of it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow.
And then the daughter who lives here has two daughters. The oldest one is a rising sophomore at Furman. She will go to Chile for her second semester. I think that's
exciting.
interesting. I don't know why, except I do know that her interest is nutrition.
Yeah.
She has taken over her mother's kitchen a couple of years ago. Elizabeth doesn't cook anymore. Sarah loves to cook. And then the younger one, she has another daughter who is a rising senior. She was the head of her class academically in the junior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I don't know what she will do, except that she is an avid reader.
That's wonderful.
We used to have, we used to be able to go to church on Wednesday nights, and we had supper before the evening service, and she'd bring a book to read while she ate. I've never seen a child read like that.
Wow.
And of course, that improves her vocabulary and her
Absolutely.
written work and so forth. So I feel like that'll be to her advantage in the long run.
Absolutely.
The younger daughter has one son who is a rising fifth grader. He's the youngest, and does quite well. I think he particularly gifted with a computer.
That's
Can
wonderful.
make it talk. I think sometimes I can't do. I would have to ask him how to do. I just quit with computer. I've got one in there, but I've done it with my husband ill. I've just had to let it go.
I understand completely. And luckily, you've got great talent in your
That's
family.
the children.
That can help you. Well, you have an amazing family? Your children and grandchildren are so
Well, we're
successful.
very proud of them.
Let me ask you this. What does motherhood mean to you?
Well, it's up toward the top. It's the top, nearly at the top of the list. I guess my relationship with God is the first, but that would be second. I don't know what I'd do without them, my children. Of course, my marriage comes up there at the top because I never had another boyfriend, and he is so ill now, and that, of course, that
So sorry.
breaks my heart.
So sorry. It sounds like you two have had a real partnership. Just
Yes.
A lifetime partnership.
Yes, we have. We have. Yep. It is. It's been good. We've been married 61 years.
I was just going to ask that. 61 years. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did it mean to you to be named the South Carolina Mother of the Year in 2006?
First of all, it floored me that I would even be considered. Oh, but that was a highlight. It really was a highlight for I think it was a highlight for the entire family. But it will always remain one of the nicest. It was one of the nicest things that ever happened to me, and I'm very grateful.
Are there any experiences that you had that year that you remember that you'd like to share with us? Either going to the governor's mansion or meeting the other mothers that you may have met or committee members?
I did enjoy meeting the other mothers, and going to the governor's mansion was a special treat as well. The present governor, I believe, was there. Was she there in 2006?
I don't think she was.
I can't remember. I can't remember who was the governor then.
Was it Governor Sanford? I think we went from Governor Sanford to Governor Haley.
I have the picture.
See if there are any pictures in your year.
I have the picture here. Let me see. Let's see. The governor's. It's 2006. Must be on over here.
There's your page in that beautiful book that Martha Cranford and Shirley Fishburne
Yes.
helped put together. You should hold, once you find what you're looking for, you should hold it up and show the camera.
It was, yes, Governor. Right before the present governor. That was Governor Sanford.
Governor
wasn't it?
Sanford.
Yes, that's his picture right there.
Why don't you hold that up and show the camera? Hold that up. That's Jean Belcher's pages in this beautiful South Carolina Mother of the Year, the 72-year celebration. So there's you with Governor Sanford.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
With your family.
And this is the whole family right here. I don't think the little one, let me see if you, yes, you see the youngest grandchild, it's Daddy's holding him, it's right here.
Oh, yeah.
So they were all there.
And he's the youngest there.
Yeah.
Is the one who's now the rising fifth grader.
That's right.
Wow. Beautiful. That's great.
Yeah. This is my husband here. And this is the oldest son.
I love the title of that state article, Barnwell Role Model, did it all, did it, and did it well. That's your summary. That's great.
Yeah, I treasure this book.
We're very proud at Winthrop University to be a part of the project of the 70 years of remarkable women that were put together by Martha and Shirley, and that we have the Louise Pettis Archives, where any materials that you've already given or want to give will be housed, as well as these oral histories will be available through the digital commons on Louise Pettis Archives on Winthrop University. And we're so honored that you all are sharing this wealth of experience and information with us.
Well, I'm delighted to do it. My I have such fond recollections of all those of all those. Is there another Mother of the Year here?
In Rock Hill?
Yeah. At the time, do you remember the time that the last meeting we had, we came to Winthrop? You remember this?
Yes.
And right before we left, there was a lady there, and she said, "I'm moving to Westminster Towers." And I cannot remember her name, but I don't know who she is.
I will look into that, because on our list of interviews, you're the only mother that we have in the Rock Hill area to interview.
All right.
Other than Martha and Shirley, who were committee members.
Yes.
But in terms of Mothers of the Year, you're our Rock Hill. So if there's someone else in the area, though, we'll find out and we'll let you know.
I would like to know. I have thought about that so many times, because I wanted to get to know her well.
Exactly, especially if she's here in
If
Westminster
she's here,
Towers.
yes. But I cannot remember her name to save my life. And the new people that have come in have not been the one, but I do not remember her name. But she said, "I am moving to Westminster Towers."
Well, Shirley Fishburne she's been our key organizer.
Oh, she is something else.
She's prepared the interview schedules and has tracked everyone down and has found places to make everyone feel comfortable. So if anybody can find who the missing mother is, Shirley can.
Shirley can. And I may have missed, I know I heard her say that, but I could not remember her name to check. And I have looked at my list, I think, I have a list of everybody that's here. Nothing rings a bell.
Well, if we find her, we will let you know.
I would appreciate it if you would, because I would certainly like to get to know her. But Shirley's remarkable.
Yes, she is. We're going to interview her next.
Great. She really is. And I tell you, if it hadn't been for Shirley, I'm not sure Anne would have made it. You remember her daughter, who was so quite ill? You don't remember that?
I don't know if I knew Shirley then.
You may
her
not
daughter
have.
was really ill.
Her daughter was extremely ill, and actually, I'm not sure they thought she would survive, but Shirley did not give up on that child. And it was amazing to me that and Anne is her name, I think. She's doing quite well and lives right next door, if I'm not mistaken. Shirley told me this. Right next door to her sister.
Oh, that's wonderful.
In Charleston, and is just getting along quite well.
That's wonderful. I look forward to doing Shirley's oral history, because I really met Martha and Shirley because of this project.
Yes.
So we've known each other only since 2012. So I'm looking forward to learning more about them when I do their interviews.
Yes. Cody, Shirley's husband, his family's from Walterboro.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, we spent 16 years down there, so the
Right.
Fishburne name rang a bell immediately. We did not know them; they were not in our church, and we did not know them, but we knew that family name,
Wow.
and quite well. And so And Shirley's such an easy person to get to know.
Yes, she
She's
is.
a delightful person.
Yes, she is.
She's a good friend.
She is. So proud and honored that she brought me in on this project.
Yes.
Really. Let me ask you some broader questions that you can reflect upon given your experience. What do you think are the most important issues facing women today?
Well, if they're mothers, their families, their children. If the mother does not give leadership, the children are not going to progress as they should. They can go in any direction if they're left hanging. And the father is usually working with his business somewhere. It's an influence too when he's at home, but he isn't at home as much with the children as the mother is. At least that's what it was in my family. Now I know more women work now than they used to. And it's important, I think, if a mother needs to work, that she have the correct person to keep her children. I was very fortunate. I did not start teaching until my last child was, I think she was 3, but I wouldn't have left her then except for the fact that it was an elderly couple that wanted to keep her. She sat with them in church and loved them like her grandparents. And they knew exactly how to deal with her in church and everything else. And she got along very, very well. One day, right before she got tired, and she whispered in the man's ear, "Are we going to have any brown rice for dinner today?" I'll never forget that. But they kept her in their home. She was the only child they had there. And they would take her on outings, and it worked quite well. Otherwise, I would not have left her.
So you've hit on something really important. I think the struggles with balance that working mothers often have to deal with, balancing their responsibilities at work and the love and care and leadership that they need to provide at home.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about how you were able to balance those things, and then how younger women today, maybe both of whom, the mothers and fathers, may be working full time, how they're able to balance
I
that.
think that would be very difficult, the way that mothers have to do it today. As I say, I did not until she was the 4th child. The others were in school.
Right.
And I would pick them up and, come home. And my rule at home was take a break, get something to eat, but get your homework before night, before the wee hours. Don't wait till the last minute to do it. One thing, I had meetings at night sometimes. And another thing, you are too tired after playing ball all day long in the afternoon or something like that to properly do your work. We had 4 valedictorians.
Wow.
But they got their work done before they went out.
Those are good rules. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they had to work later at night. I don't mean because sometimes they had that amount,
Right.
but they didn't wait until then to
Right.
start it.
That's important.
You just can't absorb it.
So do you think younger women, mothers today who are working mothers, may have a harder time balancing
I do.
than you?
I think
you
that
had.
they do have a hard time balancing, particularly if they are gone all day. Now, I would get home. I would do some work at home. I would, but I would get home in time to see that they got started
Mhm.
and got a lot of that done, and sometimes most of it done before I ever had anything at night. Of course, I didn't have everything every night,
Right.
and they didn't either. But it was never my policy to let somebody wait till night to start working on something that was going to take
That's right.
into the wee hours. And I was one of these that would call out questions if they had a study sheet.
That's good.
Uh, it was just,
You did something right if you raised 4 valedictorians. That's
Well,
great.
they came through and they have been successful in their work, and I feel that the background is so important
Mhm.
in education.
That's right.
If you get a good background, you can go forward.
Do you think women's work and women's roles as mothers are adequately recognized by society?
Probably not. By the general population. I don't think so. It's a full-time job,
Mhm.
and it's not always easy to balance. And I do realize that now probably more demands are made on women than were even then when I was Mother of the Year, because I think that it seems to have increased. But somehow mothers need to make up their minds to plan so that they can give as much time as they can to their children.
And I hope, you talked about increased demands on women. I hope more and more today, and I think I'm hearing this from the interviews, when men and women are both working outside the home,
That's
that
right.
husbands and fathers are giving a little bit more help inside the home to help with that balance, maybe more than they did in past generations.
I hope so. I hope so. It's if they have a job where they get off at a reasonable hour, they can be a great help.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't think they have the patience to deal with some of the nitty gritty.
That's right.
But they certainly can be supportive.
And your husband was a minister.
Yes.
So I know he had a lot of demands on his time.
Oh, yeah. Night and day and in between.
That's a 24/7. You
Yes.
can be on call when people need that type of spiritual support.
That's exactly right.
And I know you had to be there to be his spiritual support and first lady of the church.
And he would. I played the piano for the services, and of course that meant choir rehearsal and that type of thing. So at the time I had to maneuver
with 4
to balance
children,
it.
that's a lot.
That's one reason we had to do things in the afternoon, and a lot of it beforehand, and I wasn't about to leave them with bogged down,
Right.
So we had to get it done.
That's right.
That was another reason.
What does feminism mean to you when you hear the word feminism?
It's something I think we may be losing some of, some of it. feminism is it just means being a mother. I don't think there's just a difference between the male and the female, and feminism means usually being a little bit more gentle and a little bit more understanding sometimes. I think sometimes fathers get so wrapped up in their businesses and that type of thing, which is perfectly natural. But if they've got to make a living for a family, they have to. And I feel that sometimes that there's a difference there. We never had a problem with that.
So feminism, it sounds like to you, is a way to kind of recognize maybe some of the special qualities that women
yes, that
can
women
bring to,
that women have
to the household, to the family, to the world, to
That's
society.
Right. That's right. But it's important for the father and the mother to work together, and I think that was a large part of our feeling. My husband wanted me there for them, but he also knew I had church responsibilities, so he accepted, and we just worked together on it.
It sounds like you both were able to work as a team.
Yes.
And your church responsibilities and your family responsibilities. Would you say that's
and
true?
It all worked out.
That's great.
If one goes one way and one goes another, you've got a bad situation going, and we never had that problem.
Do you have any advice for young women who are struggling with balancing, family responsibilities at work, raising children, how to be true partners with their spouses? Any advice you want to share?
I think they need to discuss it out of the presence of their children. This is what we need to do and why. And just have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a problem, it seems I don't recall ever having to discuss that with my husband.
Mm.
He was the son of a teacher, and perhaps that had something to do with it, because he saw his mother had to balance it. She did.
So you both just tended to see eye to eye on things.
So we tended to see eye to eye on things to begin with. She taught, and her husband was a farmer. And she helped him when she could. But she taught school, and she did what she needed to do at home. And I think that had an influence on him.
And you and your husband both clearly shared the value of education.
Oh, yes.
And instilled that into your
children. No question about that. Yes.
It's so important.
It's so important. I don't know how families work when one goes one way and one goes another. Mm-hmm. And the children are caught in the middle.
Exactly. Well, do you have any questions for us? Or anything else that you would like to share?
I don't know of a thing. You've covered it well.
Well, you've made it easy. You've helped us cover it well.
You have covered it well. Let me get a picture.
Okay.
I have one of everybody here, but I'll show you.
Please do.
I'll show you one that was made just of the two of us when we left Walterboro.
Oh, good.
That was when we left Walterboro. I was sitting at the piano. Yeah. And there was one hanging on the wall of all of them. For our 50th wedding anniversary, we did something a little different. You might find it interesting. I can't think of the name of that inn in Charleston. It was my husband's idea. Instead of having a drop-in or anything for it, we had all the children and their spouses meet, spend the weekend with us at the Blue. It was a Bluegrass Inn. It's a beautiful inn in Charleston.
Wow.
And I took with me for each child one of my wedding gifts to give to them.
Oh, wow.
But I thought, and they gave us, well, I'll have to go back.
You're going to show us what they gave you guys.
Well, I can't show you what they gave us, but I can show you what it was. You can read it here.
Oh, my. Hartness, Oregon. Fisk Oregon Company, Opus 121, Charles E. Daniel Chapel, Furman University. Presented to Posey and Jean Belcher, June 18th, 2004, on the occasion of their 50th wedding anniversary and the establishment of the Posey and Jean Belcher Oregon Concert Fund.
Each year, there is a concert given at Furman.
In your name
Yes,
and honor? That
yes.
is amazing.
And our oldest son, we used to go every year, but my husband isn't able to do that anymore, and so we haven't been for several years. But my son tried, the musician's son, he was there this year,
Wow.
and he said they had a wonderful crowd, and it was a wonderful concert, and I was so pleased that they had such a good group there, and that it's still going.
What a gift.
Yes,
What a wonderful gift.
It was
from your
a
children.
wonderful gift, a special gift. I'm delighted, and it's something that's will continue through the years, we hope.
Absolutely.
We hope,
And
yeah.
your names will carry on and all the good that you have brought to Furman.
Well, we've tried. We've brought some good students.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
That's the main thing we've done is just provided a few students for them.
Great students for Furman and great contributors to the larger society.
Yeah.
Absolutely you have.
We think they're doing okay.
Well, we want to congratulate you,
Well,
Jean
thank
Belcher,
you.
2006 South Carolina Mother of the Year. Congratulations again, and thank you for sharing a little bit of your time and your life with
Well,
us. We
you're
really
so
appreciate
welcome.
it.
I appreciate your coming. It's been delightful to talk with you.